vocabulary. Now I will give some short explanation about Dutch colonialism and when Europeans come to Nusantara. First will be the Dutch colonialism. The first Dutch expedition to Indonesia in 1595, led by Cornelius de Houtman. They have made contact with the Portuguese and Indonesian from 1596. Then, Dutch East India Company (VOC) was established in 1602. VOC was made to protect trades going on in the Indian Ocean and to assist in War of Independence from Spain. The Dutch built their first permanent trading post in Banten a year after VOC was established, so that they can gain the highest profit VOC monopolized through Hongi sailing. Contingent is the obligation to submit taxes in the form of corps to the Dutch government in order to protect the treasure of the Dutch Indies government. Verplichte leverantin mandatory surrender of crops at a price determined by the VOC. Shipping patrol police saw that produce of certain goods in a region do not smuggle their products for sale to parties other than the VOC. This policy was implemented in what is now Maluku Province and North Maluku Province. The impact was reduction of cloth and nutmeg production in Maluku and the Dutch spices trade monopoly. On the year of 1808, Dendles took over. He did some new changes, such as good government sector, law sector, and military sector. He also made some new changes in the economy sector and social sector and culture changes. On the year of 1811, Raffles took over government sector, economy sector, law sector, social sector, and cultural sector. Lastly, in the colonialism period led by Van den Bosch, he made a system called Cultuurstelsel. Ferdinand Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who organized the Spanish expedition to the East Indies from 1519 to 1522. Ferdinand Magellan is known as the first person to sail from Europe to the West Asia, the first European to sail the Pacific Ocean, and the first person to lead an expedition aimed at circling the globe. Magellan has come to renown for his navigation skill and tenacity. The first circumnavigation has been called the greatest sea voyage in the age of discovery, and even the most important maritime voyage ever undertaken. Columbus is a person who is an inspiration for young Magellan. He wants also to sail to the open world so he can see its beauty. And at the end of his life, Magellan was killed by Lapu-Lapu between 1521 and 1522 in the Philippines. Next is Enrique, also known by Enrique of Malacca. Enrique has been by Glen site since 1511. The sailor got it as a spoils of war from Malacca, made a slave. Enrique is an important crew in the fleet. He said the slave has been one of the reasons Magellan could convince the king of Spain to found expedition. The king was fascinated by Enrique's skin color and his ability to speak several different languages fluently. Enrique also the first Malay people to circle the earth. He was also a slave seized by Magellan during the Malacca War. Next is Del Cano. Del Cano was born in Gateria in 1476 and died in the Pacific Ocean on August 4, 1526. In 1519, Del Cano sailed as Master of Conception, one of 5 vessels in Ferdinand Magellan's fleet, which had sailed west from Europe to the goal of reaching the Spice Island, the Moluccas, in the east. After Magellan's death in the Philippines in April 1521, a series of men took command to expedition, but none of them stayed in charge for longer than a few months. He is about East India Company, an English sea explorer. What is EIC? EIC is an English company formed for the exploitation of trade, incorporated by royal charter in around December 31, 1600. Started as a monopolistic trading body, got involved in politics, and became an agent of the British imperialism in India, one of the first stock joint companies in the world. Why is EIC formed? EIC formed because as a trading body for English merchants increase its variety of trade products. How did EIC fail? In government intervention, the Regulating Act at 1773 and the Indian Act in 1784 established government control of political policy. EIC commercial monopoly was broken in 1813. It was only a managing agency in 1834. The Indian Mutiny. It was no longer a legal entity in 1873. English sea explorer James Cook, Sir Francis Drake, Henry Hudson, George Vancouver. James Cook. He was a British explorer, navigator, cartographer, and captain in the British Royal Navy. He is famous for making detailed maps of Newfoundland, established European contact with New Zealand and Hawaiian natives, and guiding future explorers navigate the Pacific Ocean with his knowledge after exploring it 3 times. Sir Francis Drake. He was an English sea captain, privateer, naval officer, explorer, and slave trader. He is, he is famous for being the first English explorer to circumnavigate the Earth in one expedition. From 1577 until 1580. Henry Hudson. He was an English explorer and navigator. He is famous for finding opening south to North America and Canada and being the first explorer the Arctic Ocean. George Vancouver. He was a British officer of the Royal Navy. He is famous for surveying the Pacific coast of North America from the vicinity of San Francisco northward to present until the British Columbia. Thomas Cavendish. He was an English navigator and explorer. He is a famous raiding Spanish towns and ships in the Pacific. Then imitate Sir Francis Drake circumnavigation. He also did it deliberately. Thank you.